In a quiet little town nestled between hills and trees, there lived a kind and lonely woodcarver named Geppetto. He spent his days carving toys for children, but he longed for a child of his own. One day, Geppetto carved a puppet out of a special piece of wood, a boy puppet with a round nose, curly hair, and a bright smile. He named him Pinocchio. That night, as stars sparkled above and the town fell asleep, Geppetto looked at the puppet and whispered, "If only you were a real boy." As Geppetto slept, a blue light filled the workshop. The blue fairy appeared and touched the puppet with her wand. Suddenly, Pinocchio blinked, moved his arms, and sat up. "You are alive, Pinocchio," said the fairy. "Be kind, brave, and truthful, and one day you will become a real boy." With that, she vanished, leaving behind a talking cricket named Jiminy to guide him. Geppetto was overjoyed to find his puppet alive and walking. He gave Pinocchio clothes, books, and a lunchbox, and sent him off to school. But on his way, Pinocchio met two sly strangers, a fox and a cat, who promised him fame and fortune if he joined the puppet theater instead. Forgetting Geppetto's advice, Pinocchio followed them. At the theater, the crowd cheered, and the puppet master paid him with gold coins. But the fox and the cat tricked him, stole his money, and left him lost and alone. When the blue fairy appeared and asked Pinocchio what happened, he lied, saying he had gone to school, behaved well, and lost his money honestly. But as he spoke, something strange happened. His nose began to grow longer and longer. The fairy frowned. "Every time you lie, your nose will grow." Ashamed, Pinocchio promised never to lie again. With a wave of her wand, she returned his nose to normal and gave him another chance. Meanwhile, Geppetto had gone searching for Pinocchio, sailing across the sea in a small boat. Hearing this, Pinocchio set off to find his father, but on his way, he fell into more trouble. He ended up in a strange land called Pleasure Island, where boys played all day, broke rules, and did as they pleased. At first, it seemed like a dream, but soon Pinocchio noticed something terrifying. The boys were growing ears and tails, turning into donkeys. He tried to escape, but not before his own ears grew long and furry. With help from Jiminy, he fled the island, frightened and ashamed. Out at sea, Pinocchio searched high and low for Geppetto. A great storm rose, and giant waves tossed him into the water. Suddenly, a huge shadow loomed beneath him, a monstrous whale. The whale opened its jaws and swallowed him whole. Inside the dark belly, Pinocchio heard a voice. "Pinocchio, is that you?" It was Geppetto. He had been swallowed days earlier. Reunited at last, father and son embraced in the whale's belly, but they had to escape. Pinocchio had an idea. He gathered driftwood and lit a small fire. Smoke filled the whale's belly, and the creature began to sneeze. With a mighty the whale sneezed them both out into the sea. Struggling in the waves, Pinocchio pushed Geppetto onto a floating plank, and paddled through the storm until they reached shore. Pinocchio was exhausted, but he had proven himself. He had been brave, kind, and selfless. That night, as he lay sleeping beside Geppetto, the blue fairy appeared once more. She smiled and whispered, "You have earned this." With a sparkle of light, the wooden puppet was gone. In his place lay a real boy, warm and alive. Moral of the story: honesty, courage, and love can turn even a wooden heart into something real. From that day forward, Pinocchio lived not as a puppet, but as a real boy with a real heart, a loving father, and the lessons of life always close by. The end.